Hello. I'm going to give everybody just a couple of minutes to get on. I like to start and end on time. So we're going to be just going for 45 minutes today. And this is all about having a consistent journaling practice to keep your commitments to yourself and really realize what you want in life and start going after your dreams, goals, and desires and see how with ease they can really come into your life all through having these breakthroughs with your journaling practice. So it's going to be a lot of me chatting at you because I'm going to be sharing with you my journaling technique that I use personally and have used for years. I teach to all of my clients, and the one that's going to be in our new transformational journal, the Be the Light transformational journal, which is coming soon. But we've had a few setbacks and I'm not letting it stop us, and it will be out soon. So I can't wait to share that with all of you. So thank you so much for being here. I did send an email with a workbook, but if you don't have it or if you didn't print it, that's totally fine. You just need something to write on and a pen and a piece of paper. It could be any notebook, any paper, anything. I would just encourage you not to have it be electronic, because our intention is really within the permission slip community and with this journal is to make writing cool again. With the way of computers and technologies, we've gotten away from pen to paper. There's something special. When was the last time you received a letter and it was handwritten? And how special is that? And journaling is handwriting yourself a letter every single day and making yourself so important and so special. And that's really where the transformation and the breakthrough process comes from, is just in writing for that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because now we're a couple of minutes in. If more people join, great. If not, there are 2 other sessions that they can join live, and they will also get the recording of this too, which you guys will as well. So you can watch it again if you forget something at all. So no problems there. So just to kick things off, I want to just bring us together in a little meditation just to center ourselves a little bit. And let me know if the music is too loud at all, or if you can't hear it at all. But what I want to do is just have you do like any movement that feels good to you. Often we're being told what to do, and maybe that's not even what your body needs. So I feel like shifting in my chair and rolling my shoulders, my neck, but do what feels good to you. And then do a slight close of your eyes and start just noticing your breathing. Just doing full deep breaths, breathing in and breathing out. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Seriously, if you could do a breath with a sigh at the end, that feels so good. In and out. So whatever feels good to you, just do that, sitting relaxed. Continue moving if you need, or be still. I just want to call on the highest truth and compassion to enter this space now. Any spirit guides, masters, angels, teachers, loved ones that want to enter this space now and just fill it with their love and light, that they may remove from us any thoughts of self-doubt, criticism, or comparison, and renew our minds with possibility, curiosity, and self-love. Then just taking a couple more deep breaths. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes to the room. So just in case you don't have the workbook, I am going to screen share the workbook. And so you can adjust your view in Zoom if you still want to have the little screen with everybody's little Brady Bunch pictures up and to see the workbook at the same time. That's what I always do. So let me do that. Okay, we got that part down. We know where we're at here. So we're going to start off with just writing, and then we'll share a little bit just within our intimate group here today. What are your thoughts and feelings around journaling today? This could be anything from I want to do it, but I'm not making the time, to I never know what to write, to I love journaling and it's been a game changer in my life. So just whatever comes up, just start writing. And if you're unsure of what to write, just write, I'm unsure what to write about journaling, and then just keep writing because it'll come, trust me. So I'll give you just a minute or two to do that. I'll give you another minute or so just to wrap up your final thoughts. Okay, so when I first started journaling, I started a consistent journaling practice back in 2016. And the reason why I started it was I read this book called Miracle Morning. And basically, it was a book by, what is his name? Hal Elrod or something like that. And anyway, he tells you all these things that you must do in order to be successful, right? And so you have all these things that you do in the morning. And journaling was part of my I'm going to be successful to-do list thing in the morning. So I didn't get a lot out of the journaling other than creating a consistent practice of a morning routine and writing something down. But the work and the transformation came later once I started implementing some of these things I'm going to teach you today. And so fast forward to now, I get a lot from journaling. In fact, this morning, a question we're gonna work on one of the inquiry questions that I asked myself, that I was able to uncover something in my business around how the type of leader that I'm being with my team that hadn't actually come up before. And it's totally shifting some action that I'm taking in my business. However, I would have just been operating just as I did if I didn't take the time to journal, to ask myself better questions, and to uncover that. But the things that I used to think about journaling was, I'm not good at journaling. I don't know what to write. What if somebody reads this? Like, I would correct grammar. Like, why am I doing that? I have no idea why I'm doing that. And I have in the workbook some other misconceptions about journaling. But what are some of your beliefs around journaling? Just one or two shares would be awesome. You can just unmute if you want to chat.
I get stuck. I just hold myself back. I'll do my gratitude list and then I overthink it and I get into my head.
Yeah, 100%.
I totally agree with that. I totally get into my head. Just as I was writing just now, I was, okay, I really enjoy writing, but now I have to get a plan and I have to do this. And I'm like, oh, wow, how controlling am I? I have got to stop. And what if someone sees it as a big thing? I don't want anybody to see it.
Yeah. That's, That's one of the reasons why I post my journal oftentimes on my Instagram stories. If anybody follows me on Instagram, or I think it goes over to my Facebook stories too. And I don't post them all, but I just want people to see like, it's okay. Like sometimes I write stuff and it's like, oh, people are going to see that. But it's like, it's okay. We all go through these challenges in our lives. But yeah, that always held me back too. Like I wasn't writing the right thing, or I wasn't doing it the right way. I want to give everybody an opportunity to share. If there wasn't anything else, I will continue on.
I always want to know what should I need prompts.
Yes.
What questions should I ask myself?
Yes. And having those prompts are really, really important. I know that in my life, I've been journaling for a while now, right? And so I can come up with questions to ask myself, but sometimes I still don't have it. And so I need a journaling prompt. And in the new Be the Light journal, it's so great because every day you're going to have things that you can do that are set, like how you want to feel and gratitude and those types of things, but also just one page with one prompt where you can just free write your heart out. And that's really where the breakthrough and the transformations come. So I'm super excited about that. So let me go back to screen sharing here. Okay, so I think we went over all of this. Oh, a couple of the things that I used to think too is like you have to have the cutest journal, the most aesthetic looking journal. And something that I was just thinking about reintroducing myself like on social media and stuff. And I thought of a fun fact about myself is that I collect cheap Bic hotel pens. And I use them for my journaling. I do not have a fancy pen. And sometimes I just write in a notebook that I got at Office Depot for 99 cents. So it doesn't have to be something fancy. Also, you don't have to have like the most profound, beautifully written like sentences either to make it meaningful to you. Because again, this is for you and there's no right or wrong way to do it. And you can't make any mistakes. So getting started with journaling, these are just some basic tips that I want to share with you that have been really, really transformational for me in keeping a consistent practice. So picking a time of day to journal that's around the same time every day. And so if you're thinking about building a new routine or ritual or habit, something that you can do if you've read the book Atomic Habits is do what's called habit stacking. So habit stacking basically means adding something on for a short period of time to something that you're already doing. So for example, in the morning, if you always have coffee, you always have hot lemon with hot water with sea salt in it. If you always brush your teeth. So before or after or during some of these things, you could add in your journaling practice and you just know, okay, I poured my coffee. So now I have 10 minutes that I'm going to drink my coffee and actually enjoy it instead of just rushing through it or letting it get cold, freaking wasting it and flushing money down the toilet. So I'm actually saving money by doing my 10-minute journaling practice. So give yourself that time. And here's the other thing is, and this is one of the tips on the page too, is take your journal with you when you travel. So it's not like you're just journaling Monday through Friday. You're journaling every single day, but just give yourself grace to allow it to look differently. Maybe some days when you're home and you have free time and it's the weekend, you journal for 20 or 30 minutes and it just feels good and you write and you sip your coffee and maybe you're looking outside and then you write some more. And then maybe some days, if you have a busier schedule that day, you journal for 10 minutes in the morning, just with one prompt and 2 things you're grateful for. And that's great too. It's just about keeping a consistent practice. Once you have the consistent practice down, then what happens is it's easier to free write. So it's easier to just write things that are coming from your stream of consciousness. So basically what that means, it's outside of your conscious thinking, but in your subconscious. And really it's like that faith, that download that you're getting that's just like writing through you on to the paper. The other thing is I want you to make sure and not compare yourself. So comparison is like the thief of all joy, and we're all here and unique. And so each of us will have a unique journaling practice. It's just like our spiritual practice. We want to create a spirituality relationship of our own understanding. We want to have a journaling practice that means something to us and is inspiring to us. So some challenges that get in the way are other people in our household, things around us. So you want to make sure that you're communicating when this time is sacred for you and how people around you can support you and how you can build your day to be supportive of this new ritual that you're building. And why it's going to be important, not only for you, but the other people in your household. Maybe how it's going to make you a better wife with your spouse, or a better mom to your children, or a better maybe coworker. Maybe you do it first thing once you get to work, and that's your journaling practice. It doesn't have to look the same as everybody else does it. So the idea is just doing it consistently, and consistency over time, practice with anything just makes it better and better and better. So you remember how I said I read the book and then I started doing my journaling practice? Well, this is actually your first step. And this is outlined in the new Be the Light journal. But oftentimes when we get to journal in the morning for our day, we have our to-do list on our brain. And what happens? A lot of that to-do list is getting written into our journal. So I like to ask the question, how do I want to feel today? And oftentimes I'll get the answer from some of my clients who still have their to-do list in their brain. I want to feel accomplished and successful, and I want to check off my to-do list. It's like, well, is that really getting to the level that you want to get to with your journaling practice? Is the point to write a to-do list in your journal? You know, probably not. And so here's what I want you to do once a week. So I recommend doing this on Sunday as you prepare for the week ahead. I want you to do what's called a brain dump. And I want you to get it all out of your head. This could be anything from your to-do list at work, to your chores at home, to setting up personal appointments like doctor's appointments, to booking a hotel for your vacation, to taking your dry cleaning, to go to the car wash, to clean the baseboards in your house, to anything. This could be anything that's taking up mental capacity up here, because again, the magic happens when we can get in that stream of consciousness writing and that free writing. And that's when you write and you read it back and you're like, whoa, where did that even come from? This is so awesome. So how you do this is you just make the list and you do the whole entire brain dump. And then you ask these questions, and it's here for you, and it's in the workbook that I emailed you, and it'll be in the new journal. On every week, at the end of the week, you'll have a weekly reflection and you brain dump. And so then you can get all of that shit out of your head and it's not blogging you down. So does it need to be done? And this question seems silly if you're thinking like, well, if it's in my head as a to-do item, it needs to be done. But maybe it's something you've been doing for a really long time and it's no longer your job to do it, or it isn't, you're not the one meant for it anymore. And so it's something you actually need to let go of. And that's going to create space in your life. And we could all use more space in our life. And so be really honest with, does it need to be done? Like a little Y or an N, yes or no? Does it need to be done now? And what I mean by now is this week. So if we're doing a brain dump for the whole entire week, does it need to be done this week? And if you put a no on there, it does not need to be done this week, because think about it. How many things are in your head right now that aren't actually a priority this week? They're just things that need to be done, but they could be done sometime over the next month, and you would still be really happy with getting them done in that amount of time. But if we have it in our head, we're still thinking about it, it's draining our energy and it's blocking and receiving any downloads in our journaling practice. And so if it doesn't need to be done this week, in the journal, there's a process to actually write that out so you can remember it and plan for it for future weeks. And so then the last question is, does it need to be done by me? So Izetta had talked about control. So you'll find at first you have all of the things on here will need to be done by you. But technically, do they need to be done by you? Because really you should be only focusing on the things that like only you can do. And then you should be asking for help or delegating the other things. So maybe we do a lot at home and that's what we've always done, and our significant other kind of stands back, and we can task them things and they're really good at it. And so we need to be asking them for help and free up space from us. And maybe it's something that we could just hand over completely to them. And we never have to think about it again because they're just going to be in charge of it. Or maybe it's something that we really need to take the time to train our team members at work to do. So it doesn't need to be done by me. So what happens is you're left with the list of things that actually need to be done. It needs to be done this week and it needs to be done by you. And so the goal is this list is shorter, and then you just pick a day that one of those things are going to be done. If one seems like overwhelming because you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do more than one thing, pick up to 3 per day, but don't overwhelm yourself and put them all on one day. Monday, get 2 done. Hey, maybe you have more capacity on Wednesday, so you get 3 done. Thursday and Friday, you get 1 thing done. And then you actually check the things off your list. So doing the brain dump is like one of the keys to successful journaling, because all that shit's no longer stuck in your head. Now the fun part. And so we are going to practice this a little bit. So I'm going to share with you the question that I asked myself this morning. And so this is the key to transformation and growth in your life, is asking yourself better questions, because with better questions come better answers. And then when you get the answer though, you actually have to take action on it, right? At some stage. So the question that I asked myself this morning was, where do I need to call BS on myself this week? So where am I calling bullshit on myself? Am I ignoring something? What am I pretending not to fucking know, but I know? So let me read to you what I came up with. My page flipped here. So the first thing was leadership within my team. So I've had some new employees to my team, which I'm so grateful for. So wonderful, making such a huge impact. But I wrote, am I being the leader I truly want to be and I know that I'm meant for? And so I've started thinking about this, and I've been kind of telling myself this story, like, well, after I do this, then I'll be able to like do more training and help with more SOP, standards of procedures, and all of these things. And we have systems and things in place right now, and those are there, but we just want to make it better. And so, which means it's growth and challenge for me too. And so the leader that I want to be is the leader that leads by example. And I would say that I'm not doing that as effectively as I want to be doing that. And so in me saying that is like doubling down on making that one of my deepest priorities in my business. Yeah, I want to release the journal. Yeah, I want to do all of these things, but having a solid foundation for my business is so important, because then I'll be able to serve more people at the level and with the being exceptional, right? I also wrote, I had some health issues last year. And so I wrote, my body is thriving and it's up to me to care for this temple. And I had stopped some of my supplement protocols, and yoga I had stopped. And so it was like, I'm still working out and being active and doing stress management techniques and meditation and all the things, but those were things that really like took it up to the next level. And so I recommitted to those things. So where in your life, and by the way, I wrote down like 3 other things. So where in your life are you BSing yourself? Where do you already know the answer, but like you're searching and just not doing it or putting it off? So I don't know if you're writing while I was talking, or if you want to take a couple minutes just to write that out. And then I'll give you one more question that's a pretty juicy one that we'll write out together too. I'll do this one with you too. I'll give you about 20 more seconds. Okay, and coming back together, I hope you found some juicy nuggets on where you might be BSing yourself. And so the next step to that, if this was something that you were doing in your journal when you're asking yourself better questions, then the follow-up question would be like, what is my intention today? Like around this? Is there some action that I can take around this? And oftentimes when we think of action, we think of like big, huge things. Like we think of the end result goal in order to get there, but it could be something small. For example, in what I was talking about, I realized that I didn't have a good procedure for reviewing work that my assistant does. I verbally talked about it, but I never actually like walked my new employee through it. And so my action item is just to create a Loom video showing her going through it, how I would go through it to give her a better idea of like what I'm looking for in the expectation, even though we've talked about it, but having something tangible is so much more important, right? That's going to take me about 5 minutes to do, but it's going to create like such a ripple effect. So taking action after you ask yourself the question, and maybe it's not something that you're going to take action on today, but an intention, an idea, how you're going to feel throughout the week. And let's do, for the sake of time, let's keep it there with just that one question. But in the workbook, I have a ton of other questions that you can use. And I really encourage you to look at one question per day. So the other one I was going to do that's super juicy is, what would I do if I didn't let fear control me? And right away, oftentimes my initial reaction is like, oh, I'm not letting fear stop me. But you know, like there's always something where we're feeling a little hesitant. And there's just so many other juicy questions on here. Like, is my social circle influencing my life positively? If so, how? And if not, what the hell are we going to do about that, right? So ask yourself better questions is coming and getting the information. And maybe you're going to sit with what you wrote for a while. It doesn't mean immediate action taking. It could just be that you're going to ask for guidance, maybe pray about it for a little bit, but it's like bubbling up to the surface, something that you've been pushing down, that if you address it, it's going to create a transformation in your life, which is huge. So step one is brain dump. So you get all of that to-do list out, and now you're asking yourself better questions and you're becoming more self-aware of really where you're at in your life. The next part, and something that I really love, is, hello computer, there we go. Oh, no. Okay. Just a moment here. It was like not going forward, and then I went forward too many times. The next part is affirmations. So we, as highly ambitious females that are goal-oriented and we want to achieve so much in our life, we're also big shit talkers to ourselves. So we say words and thoughts and things to ourselves that we would never speak to anybody else. And so we have years and years of subconscious programming through our neural pathways. So these pathways in our brains that we are so used, we're trained to see the negative. We're trained to look for the worst instead of looking for the positive and what's great. And so one way that we can positively affect that subconscious programming and start to reprogram that is to use affirmations or mantras. And I really, really like to have one. And sometimes I use it for long periods of time. And it could really be based upon maybe something's been uncovered and asking yourself better questions, and you realize that you've been really beating yourself up in a certain area, or you really want growth in a certain area. So you're going to be telling yourself an affirmation that maybe not be 100% true in your life today, but you know that you're working towards it. And that's the power of the affirmations. Consistently repeating these day after day after day is going to reprogram your brain. And so I gave you a few examples. The one I wrote today in my journal was "In stillness I receive." And I wrote that primarily because prior to journaling, I did I put on a little bit of light music, kind of like what I was playing for journaling. And I did some breath, I did a prayer, a little meditation, and then I just asked for guidance to be like, use me through my pen. And that's where I came up with this BS inquiry question. And so without that stillness, that wouldn't have come up for me. Without me creating the time for this journaling practice, that wouldn't have come up for me. And so "In stillness I receive" is just a reminder to myself that that's so important for me. In stillness I receive. I wrote yesterday, an affirmation I wrote was "Everything attached to me wins with ease." This is my affirmation for the year. Everything attached to me wins with ease. This year for me is a year of action taking, but that doesn't mean I need to sacrifice my health or be white knuckling it or just feeling bad all year long in that hustle mentality, because I want to do it with ease. Even in the face of challenge and adversity, I want to be able to face that with enthusiasm and inspired action taking. And so writing an affirmation is so powerful. And there's a space in the new journal too that has there's 2 pages of affirmations that you can use. Okay, now the super duper fun part. So the fun part is to use your journal in order to declare things over your life, to design the life that you really want to live, to declare it over your life, even if it hasn't happened yet, but has it like it has, and then start taking small action steps to get there. So these are actual pages from my journal. They may be a little bit harder to read on the screen if you pull up the workbook, but I'll just read a couple of these things to you. Back in April of 2020, I was realizing that there was so much fear. That was like the beginning of the pandemic, and it was all crazy and we didn't even know what was going on, right? And so I recognized that I was allowing my ego self to kick in. I wasn't operating from a place of love. So the affirmation I wrote that day was, "I choose love over fear." And then I just started writing the things that I've learned over the last 30 days. And just writing them from a high vibe state. And so this was just okay, how can I choose love over fear? Let me just write these things down. And so it was really fun. I wrote things like, I love my daily rituals. I was still doing my journaling and my meditation and prayer and things like that in the morning. I'm really fucking resilient and embrace challenges, growth, and change. And so that's a positive way to say shit, I don't know what is going on right now, but I am here for it and I'm going for it. And so this is just examples of free writing. On another day back in 2020, I just wrote some random thoughts. And on the third heart, I use highlighters and pens, and I draw hearts a lot and check marks just because that's fun for me, but you can do whatever you want in your journal. Make it feel fun for you. But I wrote, "Our magic and miracles are often hidden in plain sight. But we are too busy paying attention to all the million things in life we think we should be paying attention to, so we miss it." And I have no idea where sometimes I have no idea where these things come from. Sometimes I'll write quotes from people and I'll put who I quoted it by and that sort of thing. And sometimes just magic comes up and I write things like this. Now that I'm reading it out loud, I haven't read this for a while. That's really awesome and so true. Our magic and miracles are often hidden in plain sight because we're too fucking busy to see them. Right? So this is just some examples of free writing, and I encourage you to try it out. And if you have nothing, all you have to do is just start writing things that are on your mind. and just go from there and see what happens. So that could be like, I'm apprehensive about today because I have this presentation and da 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 da. And then once you start writing, then you're in the practice of writing. And then what you can do is you can shift. You can shift from just writing about your day and shift into designing and declaring it over your life. So this is an example I want to read to you, and I want to tell you about how some of these things have come into my life through journaling. So I wrote, I wake up every day and think, I'm one with God, my health is optimal, my relationship with Joel is thriving, I have financial abundance to give generously and live debt-free. I am aligned and fully connected to my intuition and source energy, and I take inspired action on the calling on my life to serve others. I am blessed, I feel great, I look great, and I light up every space I enter to allow others to be empowered and illuminated in their own life. So that was really like designing it. Like that is how I want to feel every day. Like that feels really good. And it's all about showing up as my highest self, my opportunity to serve, my relationship with God, and my deepest priority of my relationship with my significant other, Joel. But then I get real specific. So I'm going to declare things over my life. And then I want to tell you about how some of them came into fruition as well. And this is something that I would encourage you to, if something is on your heart and you really want to go for it, write it like it's been done every day over and over again, even if it's the same thing, and put some energy and feeling behind it. So some of the things I wrote here is Joel and I create a business we can do together to complement the work we already do, which serves thousands online and pays for our everyday expenses. So this was during COVID. And so that's why I wrote thousands online. Sometimes you write things and then it doesn't work out exactly as you have written it. But if you're open to what's possible and you're not white knuckling and trying to control everything, the most magical things happen. So what came of this is Joel and I didn't necessarily create a business together, but he started coming and attending all of my permission slip retreats. So the next one's in Tulum in October. And he provides massages for the women that do the VIP experience. And it is a VIP experience because he is like magic. He's the best massage therapist. And I know you're probably like, oh, you're just saying that, but like hands down, the best ever. And so we sort of created a business together. But it wouldn't have really ever been something I thought of if I wasn't writing this. If I wasn't writing, putting it out into the universe, saying like, okay, I'm ready for this possibility. I really, really want this to happen. And then I develop a membership site. That's done. We have the Permission Slip Collective. We're this month just finishing up the Sober Curious experiment, which has been so fun. I write a book. So close, we have a journal this year. So do you see what I'm saying here is you write it like it's happened already. The last thing I wrote, Joel and I grow even more individually, or grow individually and together. And that's happening more and more every day. My dad beats his cancer and he's happier and healthier than ever. And that is 100% true. So he had cancer, he went through treatment, he's cancer free. And oh my gosh, I just visited them and he is happier than ever. So all of these things are things that I was declaring. And then I was also feeling in my body and putting energy towards it. Like, what would that feeling be like? Like if my dad did that and it was still alive and he could see all these things that we're doing and still have so many more years, like how is that going to feel? And putting that out into the universe. So just design it, declare it, and do it. Okay. So I'm going to stop the screen share here. And we have a few minutes left. And I just want to open it up for Q&A. That was a lot of information. But the one thing I want you to know is every morning we have two decisions that we can make. We can hit snooze, or we can rush around and do the things like we've always done them and go through our day, get on the treadmill of life and just live this mediocre life that we're not even feeling or experiencing. Or we can get up We can figure out who the fuck we are and what we want and be intentional with how we're living and be so high vibe and so aligned with our higher power that like nothing can shake us. Something happens, we have a bad thought, there's a challenge in our life. Through the power of journaling and having that time with yourself, you can reframe in an instant. And it just changes things. Questions? So this is it in the workbook. Again, you can go to that. I wrote a few more notes about my hope for you and your journaling practice. And again, remember, it's your journaling practice. These are just ideas and suggestions and things that I know that work for me and have worked for other amazing women. But take what's meant for you and try it out. And don't give up, because this is new. And so it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. And so that's why we give up most of the time, because it feels uncomfortable. There's resistance. Guess what? There's supposed to be resistance. That's like the test, right? The test is to see if we're going to work into the resistance. And once we do that, like, remember the last time you pushed into uncomfortableness where you're so nervous to do something or so much resistance, and then you did it. And then it was almost like, wow, I did it. That wasn't that bad. I'm actually good at this. Yeah, we can do this. And that's the same thing with journaling. So it's like I said, it's like writing that letter to yourself each and every day, like sharing yourself with so much compassion. And if you can get into this practice each and every day, you are going to have those transformations and those breakthroughs, and you're going to be that divine vessel for those downloads that come onto the paper. And you're just like, oh my gosh, where did that even come from? And you have tools too. So you have journal prompts that can start that. You have your affirmations that you can use. You can do your gratitude each day. But I just encourage you, if you are doing a journaling practice right now and it feels really the same and mundane, like, try some of these things. Maybe you're writing out each and every day like a big dream or goal that you want, like it's already done. And you just add that one thing. Whatever it is, it's going to make a difference if you do it and you do it consistently. So lastly, I had some cards and I shuffled them around and I pulled this one for us. And I think it's just perfect. It says, I claim my desires. I hold great visions. I am ready to receive. And so I'll send a picture of this in the follow-up email with the recording, but this is so perfect, right? I claim my desires. I hold great visions. I'm ready to receive. Because part of this, design it and dream it and do it and declare it is believing that we're worthy to receive it and being open and receptive to receive it. So I'm so grateful for each of you being here. We are at time, so I will let you go. But as always, you can send me a DM or an email, reach out if there's any questions, and you will be the first to know when the journal is released very, very soon. And it'll be your guidebook, just what I just taught you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a beautiful, blessed afternoon.